What's up YouTube, Capital G here, talking about Code of the Duelist in this video and asking the question, is this set as bad as everybody is making it out to be? I don't know what the hell happened at the sneak peek, guys, but it seems like every YouTuber came back super pissed off and now they hate the set, and man, people have just been trashing this set to death. I really don't understand it. I was kind of taken back by it, and I'm gonna just go ahead and talk about it because I feel like Code of the Duelist needs a little bit of defending, because I don't think the set is nearly as bad as what people are kind of making it out to be. And you know, you guys know who I'm talking about. Simo made a video kind of trashing it. MCO40 just said straight up, don't even buy the set. I was like, god damn, you guys really think that this set is a hot piece of garbage? And let's be real, we have seen really bad sets in Yu-Gi-Oh, guys. We have seen Shadow Specters, we have seen Cyberdark Impact, sets where most of what Konami tries to do, they just completely fail at. If you look at Cyberdark Impact, they tried the whole column thing, like that was just completely unsuccessful. You look at Shadow Specters, oh my god, the XCs in that set were just so fucking terrible. Even the cover card was just trash. That's why the cover card wasn't even the ghost rare in that set. They made it like Mobius or some stupid shit like that. Shadow Specter is a really bad set, but I don't think that this should be in the category of those sets. Like, this set is actually pretty decent. I think that I actually think that Code of the Duelist is very similar to something like Generation Force, and I'm going to try and break this down into two different angles, because I feel like Simo's transgressions from what I could understand were kind of from a functional standpoint, from just being able to like play the game and competitive play and stuff like that, and then Robbie's was pretty much from like an investment standpoint. And all right, let's go ahead and talk about it. So for starters, I think that Code of the Duelist is getting a bad rap because people are kind of they're going in on the archetypes, and I think that that's unfair. I think it's unfair to judge the archetypes, and I think that it's kind of ludicrous to look at something like Code of the Duelist, right, and you compare it to Duelist Alliance, and you say, well, Duelist Alliance had Teller Knights and Shadows and Burning Abyss, and this deck did this, that, and the third, but you're comparing it to a set that isn't even out yet. So, like, are we going to give the archetypes, are we going to give Trickstars and Gokis and Revendreads, are we going to give them any time to actually play at competitive events, or are we just going to judge them now? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but there haven't been any YCSs since Code of the Duelist came out. It's not even legal yet, so how are they going to get any merits? How are they going to top any events if there are no events? So I think that that's right there just a fallacy for people to say, look at all the accolades that these decks had from these sets when there haven't been any competitive events. Like, who knows? You say Code of the Duelist is a terrible set, but if Zodiac and True Draco end up getting nerfed into the ground on our new ban list maybe in a couple of weeks, then you'll look kind of silly if Trickstar end up shocking the world and winning like the first YCS in Europe. I forget exactly where it is, if it's Romania or something like that, but would a Trickstar end up winning like that YCS? You'll look pretty silly, and it's like we should have actually given them a chance. You can't judge these decks by the same standards that we've judged Sir Teller Knights and Shadows, because those decks have been out for 3 years. It's the same reason that it's always kind of silly when people make these comparisons, Michael Jordan to LeBron James. It's like, well, what the fuck? One of them is retired and one of them is like still actively playing, so that doesn't really work when it comes to those type of comparisons. And I know people's counter arguments to that is, well, look at the OCG, look at the OCG, look at the OCG. I get it. Everybody wants to use the OCG as like this perfect demonstration of what Yu-Gi-Oh is. First off, we're not the OCG. We have different ban lists. The second thing is, Revendreads aren't even out in the OCG because they're a TCG exclusive, so you can just throw that out the window. The third thing is, Trickstars have topped consistently in the OCG. The fourth is, the OCG events are small as hell. They're basically like, they don't have events that are even bigger than like regionals. So, I mean, in LA and Los Angeles, they have regionals that are like 1,000 people. The biggest events that they have in the OCG outside of like their nationals are like 200 people. So these are not even huge events. It's a completely different meta. Like, I understand that we can take from the OCG, we can see some certain trends, but that doesn't mean that the OCG is the gospel. We need to stop putting so much stock into, okay, this card didn't see play in the OCG, so that means it's automatically a bad card. Well, Cap G, the OCG, said that green is the best color, so, you know, green is the best color. You can't like blue and pink. That's just dumb. The second thing is, I felt like Simo had a really unfair comparison when it came to Code of the Duelist. He spends about half of his video comparing Code of the Duelist to Duelist Alliance, and like personally, I think Duelist Alliance is easily the best Yu-Gi-Oh set of all time. So if you're going to compare every set to Duelist Alliance, no set is going to stack up. It's just that simple. No set is Duelist Alliance. Duelist Alliance gave us 4 tier 1 archetypes in one set. No set has ever done that, and I've said before, I mean, I'm talking, you can go back and look at my top 10 booster sets of all time where I put Duelist Alliance as number 1. No set will probably ever do that again. I put Duelist Alliance over Phantom Darkness. I put it over Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy. I put it over Invasion of Chaos. Whatever booster set you think is the best, Duelist Alliance is better than it, and the impact that it had with the power creep and everything obviously was just felt, you know, months and months and formats after it launched. So I think it's unfair to just compare it to that set in a vacuum, because if you're looking at it as, if you're trying to basically judge it by how it's setting up a new era of Yu-Gi-Oh, okay, well, why didn't you compare Code of the Duelist to Generation Force? Why didn't you compare it to Duelist Alliance? Those are, excuse me, not Duelist Alliance. Why didn't you compare it to, what's that set called? The Duelist Genesis. Like, those are the sets that launched Zexal, that launched 5Ds, the Synchro and Exceed eras. They're doing basically the same exact thing that Code of the Duelist did. You kind of omitted that. And again, I don't think it's fair to compare Code of the Duelist just to Duelist Alliance, because every set is going to lose the Duelist Alliance. It's like the fucking greatest set ever. If you're looking at it from a investment standpoint, I'm just going to be honest, guys. I'm going to tackle the elephant in the room that no Yu-Gi-Tuber wants to talk about. There are so many Yu-Gi-Tubers talking about Market Watch right now, but nobody ever mentioned this. Yu-Gi-Oh, or no one ever mentions this. Yu-Gi-Oh cards as a whole are just not worth as much as they were in previous eras. And that's simply because we get a holo in every single pack. There aren't that many, like, first off, we don't have any more like $150, $160 cards. Like, those just don't happen anymore now that we have holos in every single pack, because they're just so much easier to get. You guys might not remember this, but in the GX days, like the late part of the GX, where it was like Dad Return and it was like Dad Return, the nerf version after the emergency ban list, and like Gladiator Beast, like when Heraclinos was like $275 and Dark Arm was like $250. Like, we're just not going to see those days in Yu-Gi-Oh anymore, because secret rares are just too damn easy to get. I mean, you can look at like Rant. That was a card that you needed 3 of in the best deck in the game. And what was Rant? Like a $2 card? You look at Chakanine, Zodiac are tier 0. You need 2 Chakanine to run the deck. And Chakanine's what, like a $2, $3 card tops? Like, that would never happen in the other eras of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like what I just described, I probably just described like a $40 card if you would have, if it would have been a situation like in, if it would have been a similar situation, but it would have been the days of GX or something like that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards as a whole are just not worth as much as they were before. Every set now, we're lucky if we get one $100 card, but haven't you guys noticed that Zodiac Barrage and Diagram, like, yeah, they launch and they're like $100, and all they do is go down, 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 because the market gets flooded so damn fast. So you talk, like Robbie talks about how it's not a good investment set because Firewall Dragon's going to get printed a billion times. I agree with him on that. It is unfortunate that the big pull card in the set is, I mean, it is the cover card of an anime character, and unfortunately Konami's track record says, you know, they reprinted Utopia like 5 trillion times. They reprinted Stardust 5 billion times. So more than likely they're going to do the same thing with Firewall Dragon. But just to be honest, I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh cards as a whole, like, there are not that many sets where you just want to buy a whole bunch of them and think, I'm going to make a ton of money back. Because if you don't sell these cards at super high hype prices, you're going to lose your money anyway. I mean, how much is Diagram worth right now? It's probably worth like, what, 30 bucks? It used to be a $100 card. Is that because Diagram got worse? No. The deck didn't get worse. In fact, it won the North American WCQ. It's just because Konami kind of overprints anything, and it's a double-edged sword. I know that it's a good thing if you're a budget player. You don't have to worry about the $150 Draco sacks of the past. There are no more Necros of Bryonics. Remember when that was $160? Remember when Tour Guide, when everybody learned, oh my god, it's the best card in the entire Extreme Victory set. We thought that Reborn Tengu was, but nope, it's actually Tour Guide, and Tour Guide went to like $180 at its height. Like, those days of Yu-Gi-Oh are gone, guys. We're pretty much at the point where the best we're going to get in Yu-Gi-Oh is, I don't know, maybe we get a couple of $60 cards in a set. If you look at a set like Invasion Vengeance, right? What were there? There were 2 cards in that entire set that were worth anything. Dimensional Barrier and Totally Awesome, right? They were both like $60 cards. And then, I mean, look at them now. It's not like Totally Awesome's a bad card anymore. It's worth like, what, $20 or something like that? Yu-Gi-Oh cards as a whole just aren't worth as much just because of the way that Konami gives us a holo in every single pack. So when you say that it's not a good set to invest in, to be quite honest, I don't really think there are many good investment sets. And if you look at it just from a standpoint of how it actually sets up the mechanic, that's another thing I think that Simo didn't realize. Like, for as good as Duelist Alliance actually is, Duelist Alliance did a terrible job of actually setting up the pendulum mechanic. You people have to remember, right? If I say Duelist Alliance, what do you remember about that? Like, everybody's gonna say, oh yeah, Cap, Duelist Alliance was amazing, Shadows and burning a bit. Does anybody ever mention pendulums when they think of Duelist Alliance? No, because Duelist Alliance did a terrible job of actually supporting the pendulum mechanic. Duelist Alliance was supposed to introduce the pendulum mechanic into the game, but no one gave a fuck about it. All everybody played was, everybody was excited because, oh my god, we get to play fusions again? Like, what, Cap? That's crazy. We get to play synchros again, Yang Zings. Duelist Alliance did a terrible job of actually establishing pendulums as a competitive mechanic. What's it called? Code of the Duelist does an excellent job of giving us a ton of link monsters. First off, we have an all-world good card in Firewall Dragon. I actually am very confident that Firewall Dragon is going to see competitive play from today until probably Era 7 of Yu-Gi-Oh! I think Firewall Dragon, if it doesn't get banned, which I don't think that they will ban it because it is the ace monster of an anime character, I think Firewall Dragon will be like Stardust Dragon. I think it will be a card that we play basically for 3 to like 5 years. And I think that Code of the Duelist does a very good job of establishing the link mechanic. I think that it doesn't do as great of a job as maybe Duelist Alliance did, because, not Duelist Alliance, excuse me, what's it called? Duelist Genesis, because when Duelist Genesis came out, like, synchros instantly became the meta. Like, it was just that impactful. But if you look at something like Generation Force, no one was really that impressed by Sea Monsters when Generation Force came out. Like, I mean, we were like, yeah, Leviathan Dragon is cool and everything, but it's not going to make us stop playing TG Stun. It's not going to make us stop playing Plant Synchro. Like, the ban list did that. So, I don't know, guys. I feel like, no disrespect to Simo or Robbie, I feel like they're looking at this from a glass half empty perspective. I don't think that the set is nearly as bad. I think that there are a lot of good cards. I think that Recall is an excellent I think Recall is an excellent card. I actually didn't think it was all that good, but at the time that I reviewed Recall, I didn't know about all the amazing fucking counter fairy support that we were gonna get in a structured deck, and now Recall looks like a really good card. You've got that card, Heavy Duster, Heavy Trap. What you guys know what I'm talking about. The damn Twin Twister Trap. That would be like, if that card, if we were in a different era, or if we didn't get holos in every pack, I guarantee you if that was an ultra, that would be like a $20 card. But again, it's not going to be worth anything now because, you know, most cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Aren't worth anything because overprinting and stuff like that. I think that there are a lot of good cards in here. Back to the Front, that's an amazing card. You know how many people play Back to the Front in the OCG? I expect a lot of people to play that in the TCG. Again, OCG is not the gospel, but it is a good tool, but I don't think that it should be the be-all end-all. So you guys let me know what you think. I think that this set is very similar to Generation Force. I think that it does a much better job of establishing the link mechanic as some of the other first sets and other eras have done. I think that the archetypes are being judged way too harshly because the only opportunity that we've given them is, oh, well, they didn't top in the OCG, guess they're trash. Like, come on, man. Let them at least have a couple of events in the TCG before we make our opinions on Trickstars and Gokis. No one has even given Goki a chance. Everybody has just thrown out Goki and just said, nope, nope, we're not even messing with. Like, really? I saw somebody in the comment section was like, I don't want to play Goki because Road is at 1. Okay, so you're basically saying you never going to want to play a warrior deck again? Like, what fucking sense does that make? So, I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe you guys think that Code of the Duelist is trash. I think the set is being very undervalued right now. I think the reason why you don't see cards like Rescue Ferret at like $20 anymore is because that's just the way Yu-Gi-Oh! Is. I mean, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing at the same time. Cards are a lot cheaper now, but it also means that your shit isn't really worth anything anymore. But that's just the good and the bad that we take with the game. That's how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to be moving forward. We're not going to see those $150, $160 cards. And even when we do see $100 cards, they're only going to be $100 for like maybe a month at best. Then they're just going to plummet because the market gets flooded on them. Anyways, Yu-Gi-Oh! Economics 101, boys. Thank you guys for watching. As always, let me know what you thought in the comment section below, and subscribe if you have not already. Actually, one last thing, because I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Cap G, wasn't Raging Tempest a great investment set? Raging Tempest was actually a really good investment set, but only for a short amount of time. You look at like the high value cards in Raging Tempest, Zodiac Barrage, Zodiac Broad Bull, Zodiac Trident. What happened with all of those cards? It's not like Zodiac got worse. It became arguably tier 0 and easily the most dominant deck. It won the North American WCQ. It won Euros. It was the overwhelming favorite in both of those events. It was the most popular deck in both of those events. It has been the most dominant deck that we've seen in years. Why are the cards just going down, 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 down in value? Zodiac didn't get hit. Like, since it's been released, it's gotten one nerf, which was Rat Pierre 2, which didn't really do anything. So why did all the cards in Raging Tempest just go down and down and down? It's because of the way Yu-Gi-Oh! Is now, guys. The cards just are not going to be worth as much as long because we get them so easily. That's why when I say that, I don't really think any set is really a great investment set because of the times that we live in. If you want to look at great investment sets, go back to like the 5Ds days. Look at a set like Duelist Revolution, right? Duelist Revolution was a great investment set because you had so much hype around Pot of Duality. It was a secret rare, and once that was announced as secret rare, my goodness, that the pre-sales on that card were like $125 when it came out live. Even with the general release, it was like $110 card, somewhere around that, right? Solemn Warning launched at like $20. I remember getting a play set for I think like $60 or something like that, and then everybody realized, oh my god, Solemn Warning is the best card in this set. Solemn Warning is the best card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Solemn Warning went from $20 to $80, and the ultimate rares went to $120. You had Scrap Dragon, which was like one of the best synchros in the game at the time. That was like a $40 card. You had Effect Veiler, which was one of the best hand traps because it was really one of the only hand traps back then, because we're talking about 5Ds. So that was like a $30 card. Like, that's a great investment set where you can have $4 or $4 and 5 cards that are like $30, $40, $100 and up. How many times do we really get that anymore, guys, in Yu-Gi-Oh? Like, we don't really get that anymore. Even if we do in Raging Tempest, it's for a very, very, very short amount of time, and the cards just go down and down and down. That didn't happen with Duelist Revolution. Like, those cards went up. They stayed up. They stayed up for a very long time. Solemn Warning didn't drop in value. Even when they limited it to 2, it was like, okay, it went down $10. Like, who gives a fuck? It didn't go down until they actually reprinted it like 2 years later. So I think that it's just the way the game is. Saying that, you know, Code of the Duelist isn't a good investment set, so it's not a good set. Like, there are no good investment sets anymore because Yu-Gi-Oh! is not a make money off of the cards anymore game. Konami prints the fuck out of these cards, so it's very difficult. That's why you see things like Invocation. These cards launch at like $70, and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, they're in the tank because it's just so much easier to get these holo cards now. And just to prove my point, Barrage is fucking $12. This is a tier 0 deck right now. There was an ARG over the weekend. All 16 decks, of course, were fucking Zodiac because Zodiac's tier 0. This would have never happened in 5Ds or in Zexal or in GX. There would be no way that we would have a $100 card and then without anything happening on the ban list, with the deck still being at its top position in the meta, that the card would lose like 95% of its value. That would never happen, guys. It's simply because of the way Yu-Gi-Oh! Is. So it not being a good investment set is basically meaningless. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not a make money off the cards game anymore.